In Genesis chapter 35, we read in verse 14 that Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it, and he also poured oil on it. A stone pillar, a memorial, something to make us pause and remember when we see it. Kind of appropriate for this President's Day. As we remember our presidents on this day, remember to pray for our president today and for those who seek to become our presidents of the future. There are events in all of our lives that as we look back at them, we realize that the hand of God had to be at work in them. Joel Osteen puts it like this: maybe you bumped into somebody who introduced you to your spouse, or a coworker resigned and suddenly you were promoted, or a stranger said something that spoke to your heart. These are all signs of God's favor. And when you're tempted to get down, you need to remember how God opened the door for you, how he made a way, how he spared your life, how he healed your child. There is no such thing as coincidence. When something good happens, recognize that it's God and recall it often. I can look back and see so many of those instances in my own life. After a horrific car accident, the towing crew arrived to pull the car out of the woods. One of the mechanics looked at the car, shook his head, and said, "No one got out of this one alive." I did. An arsonist burned down our church while I was in college. After the youth leaders left because they didn't want to go through another building campaign, I stepped in to lead the youth after I graduated, and I started on my current career path. A secretary lost a venue application for the use of a local school auditorium for a concert. A local church offered us the use of their facility rent-free on short notice. And a year later, I was their youth pastor. 6 kids flunked off the basketball team at a school where I was coaching, leaving us with just 4 players. So we had to cancel the season. Another school found out that I was available to coach, and a few months later, I met my wife there. God has been at work in all of these, and in so many more situations in my own life. Now, in the Old Testament, Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it, and he also poured oil on it. He set up a memorial to mark the place where God had spoken with him. Have you established any memorial stones lately? In the great hymn, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," the second stanza begins with these words: "Here I raise my Ebenezer. Here by thy great help I've come. And I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home." So the question is, what's an Ebenezer? Well, it certainly isn't just Scrooge's first name. Ebenezer means stone of help. It is a stone that is a tangible reminder of the Lord's power and protection. The stone of help marks a spot where God has moved in our lives. It's a memorial stone. We place stones of remembrance in cemeteries to honor loved ones. But these particular stones that we're talking about are there to honor God. A sure way for us to build our faith is to remember all the times that God has made a way when every door was locked and barred against us. Days when we were lonely and God brought the right person into our lives. Or nights when we felt so bad that we didn't think we would make it until the next morning. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, God turned things around. He gave us the oil of joy instead of mourning. He lifted us out of the pit where we were struggling. He gave us a new beginning. And because of God, we are able to live as happy, healthy, and whole testaments of His mercy and grace and love toward us. And best of all, if he did it before, he will do it again. He is the same today as he was yesterday. And when we take the time to remember his goodness and faithfulness, it strengthens us to keep fighting the good fight of faith. And speaking of God doing it again, have you been paying attention to what has been going on at Asbury College in Kentucky, where students are encountering God in new ways? As we speak, this latest Asbury revival has spread to college campuses across the country. And we pray that this will be one of these Ebenezer moments that we will look back on to see how God changed the course of our nation and our world by changing the lives of so many individuals. May we all be revived and renewed. One group that experienced a dynamic encounter with Jesus is the subject of a new film that is being released this week. Jesus Revolution takes us back to the days of the hippie generation and to a pastor named Chuck Smith at a church called Calvary Chapel. Chuck Smith, Calvary Chapel, and the musicians, pastors, and teachers that grew out of the Jesus Revolution had a tremendous impact on me as I grew up, and they shaped the person that I am today. Our Primetimers group will be going to see this film this Friday, and I hope you will join them. To find out more about their trip to go see Jesus Revolution, contact the church office and we'll get you all the details. And as we look back at what God has done, let us also look forward with expectancy to what he is currently doing among the young people of today. And let's be open to the changes that they may bring to our church as they meet with God and as he does a new thing in them. The world needs another Jesus Revolution. I'm ready for another Jesus Revolution. And I hope that you are too. Have a great day, and I'll see you on Friday.